Getting ready for your next event and you're putting together your AV order, or maybe you're trying to understand your AV quote and you want to make sure that it has everything that you need. Now, when I say AV, I mean audio visual. It can also be your production budget. We use different words in the event industry, but anything that would relate to kind of your audio, your visual, your lighting. Well, I'm an event producer and I'm going to share a couple common mistakes that I have either made and experienced myself or someone I know has, and I just want to put them all in a video for you, so next time when you're prepping for your event, you can just go through this quick list to make sure you're not making some of these common mistakes. Before we jump into it, I'm Logan Clements. I'm a freelance event producer based in Seattle, Washington, but I execute events all over the world. I do want to remind you to like, subscribe, turn on that little notification bell so you get notified every single Monday when I drop new videos. I'm also the co-host of the Better Events podcast with my fellow event pro, Mary Davidson. We drop new episodes every Wednesday where we dive even more in depth into these topics. I have 2 episodes on our podcast about audiovisual. One is like a beginner's guide. The other is all about how to read an AV quote. So I highly encourage you to give it a listen. If you want more event content, we are also hosting the Better Events Conference. It's virtual Wednesday, December 20th, where we're going to have time for you to connect with other event pros, learn about some of the challenges and solutions you might need for 2024 as you look ahead to events, and create some time for yourself to think about your own long-term strategy. No matter if you're a freelancer or you work full-time for someone, there's going to be some value adds for you and you're going to walk away with connections. So put that link down here. Just go and get your tickets today. Okay, so this list of common AV rental mistakes, I put it together, like I said in the beginning, because I have experienced them, or someone I know has experienced them and told me about it later, and I've been like, wow, that is something that you would be like, I wouldn't even have thought of it, but when it happens to you, you're like, oh, this feels so silly. So this is supposed to be a short list. I have 4 key mistakes that I have seen people make that have impacted the outcome of your show or made things harder for you on your event day, which if you watch my videos, you know I love reducing stress, making things easier. So my first tip is to double check if you're planning on using a projector and a projection screen to show your slides, videos, any visuals you have at your event, making sure that you think about the windows in your space and also the lighting in the room during the time of day of your event. Commonly, I will see people think, oh yeah, we love a projector screen. It's cheaper than an LED board. I'm just going to go with that. And then they don't think that their luncheon during the day with these beautiful big windows that have a beautiful view of something, the water, the city line, whatever it is. And then they realize that they can't see the projection screen with that bright light during their luncheon event. And so they actually have to close the curtains, negating the beautiful view so we can see the slides. So it's just something to think about. An LED board is more expensive, but it does solve that because it's actually illuminated. The board itself is illuminated, it's LEDs. And so then you have less trouble seeing that with the bright windows or something like that. So just make sure whatever screens you're using, think through how it's going to look at the time of your event. This next one is about laptops that you're going to be renting to use to show your PowerPoints or show your note slides. One mistake that I had for getting a rental laptop once was that it did not come with an actual license for the Microsoft Office suite, meaning it would not let me actually log in and use PowerPoint. So even if people were giving me their PowerPoint on a USB, when we plug it into the laptop, we wouldn't be able to open PowerPoint because we didn't have a license. Now, a workaround would be if you have a license yourself or your company does and you have that login handy, you can work around that. But in the moment on the event day, you're realizing this, it's going to be a hard one to solve. And so just making sure if you're using it for your presentations, I had this come up when I was using it for registration where I wanted to be able to utilize Excel and it wasn't working. I ended up just using my own laptop as my preferred method because it was just too difficult to try to do that in the moment on the morning of. But just make sure if you're renting laptops, make sure you ask your AV company if it's coming with that licensed software or if that's something that you're going to have to provide so you know that going in. You know I love bonus tips in here, so my pro tip for how you can also save money on your AV quote would be to actually bring your own laptops. I don't recommend this for big shows, but if you're doing a smaller event, it's your nonprofit, you really want to save money, you can get charged anywhere from $200 to $400 per laptop per day to rent one. So this is where you can have a workaround. Just know you're going to need the charger for the laptop so you don't run out of power, any login information if it does lock or anything like that. And ideally, it either has the ports for HDMI in, or you have the dongles. If you're a Mac user like myself, I have so many dongles, little plugins that can allow my little MacBook to take as many inputs as I need it to for my events. And my next common AV mistake that I see people make is they don't think about how the lighting is going to look in the room for the in-person audience, but also then for the virtual, or if you're recording your content and want to use it for later. I was talking with a lighting director at one of my events because we had this challenge where if it looked too bright in real life, it actually looked perfect for the recording. And then if it was a little dark in the recording, it actually looked perfect in real life for the live audience. And it was this interesting push-pull that I just pulled this director aside and was like, what is happening? And he was explaining to me that, again, there are different kind of lighting settings that you need to optimize for a recording than you would for an in-person experience. And so I found I've actually had to talk through some clients that process of which is the priority. Do you want to prioritize the look and feel of your in-person event? And we'll maybe make the lights a little darker, and then that'll make it the recording. It's just a little darker. Again, to a nuanced eye, they're going to be like, that's a dark recording. To you and I, you might not notice as much. Or is the recording really important? And so we're going to have really bright lights. Think like a TV set, something that's going to make it nice and evenly lit. So for the recording, it's going to be crystal clear. I think lighting is such a powerful tool because it can help set the mood for your event. So that's why there's no right solution for this. I've just found a lot of people don't think through that until you're actually on site and you're looking at your speaker on stage and you're like, why is it so bright? I've also found it's really helpful to have a lighting director if you can afford one, or a lighting operator if you have some extensive lighting equipment at your venue. This person can help answer those questions like it did for me in my event, and also help make those adjustments in real time for your event. Especially if you have different speakers who are wearing different colored outfits or have different skin tones, they're able to make those real-time adjustments. Again, not feasible for some of my smaller events, but just a very good consideration to keep in mind. And my last one for AV mistakes I have talked all about how important event comms are, like wearing your headset, your in-ear walkie-talkie, whatever it is. I like harp on this. Even my small 2 people, 3 people on-site events, we will have walkie-talkies, or we will be using Unity, that digital app that I love that just requires headphones. Whatever it is, I'm going to have comms. And I did have one event where I had requested a comm system. It ended up being walkie-talkies. I was like, great, well, I'll use walkie-talkies. But what I didn't explicitly say is that I wanted to have headsets with these walkie-talkies. So they were just a regular walkie-talkie without a way to put it in your ear discreetly. So if I was to talk on it, it would be in speaker mode essentially, and everyone could hear it, which kind of defeats the purpose for event comms, but I could see how that's useful for, event setup when it's just the event staff around, that's no problem. But I ended up not being able to utilize it because it wasn't actually solving the problem I needed. So make sure that you're really explicit with whoever you're renting your headsets from. Again, your AV vendor should have these. If not, I've had other companies I found that just do walkie-talkies headsets. And for those guys, I would say it's almost default. It always comes with a headset. But I found when I went through an AV company, I needed to have been explicit for what I was looking for. So those are just 4 common mistakes that I see with AV. Again, they're a little more in the weeds, but helping make sure that you're setting yourself up for success and able to use all the amazing equipment that you have rented, paid for, and you want it to be doing what you need it to. Well, that brings me to the end of my video. I'm Logan Clements. I'm a freelance event producer based in Seattle, Washington, but I execute events here and all over the world. I do more videos about event production, Zoom, hybrid events, virtual events, you name it. I've got tips for it. So I'll see you in my next video. Bye.